Hi, my name is Greg Margolis. Along with my wife, we own and operate the Nantucket Culinary Center and the Corner Table Cafe. Today we're going to be doing some cooking demonstrations, some stuff that you can try to do at home, some really simple, straightforward, plant-based cooking. So enjoy. If you have any questions, let us know. If you're anything that you want to see in the future, let us know. We're going to be doing these kind of more regularly from now on. So if there's something you want to learn, we'd love to teach you. If you're stuck at home and you can't make it out here for our classes, this is a great way to get used to it and a great way to get started on some of the work we're going to do. Right now, I'm going to do a quick and easy marinated vegetable salad. This is something with regular products you have around the home. You're going to have no trouble making this for yourselves in the future. The first ingredient we're going to do in our fresh vegetable marinated salad is going to be red onions. Readily available everywhere, nothing special about them. What we are going to do is we're going to cut them very thin, and we're going to start them marinating in a little bit of vinegar and honey solution to get them kind of to release some of their sulfites and let them not be so strong. We're going to cut off the root end and the stem end. And we're going to cut the onion right in half. And now we're going to peel it. Much easier to peel once they're cut in half. Make sure we have a nice onion in there, a little bit of a dry bit. We can just remove that. Peel off all the papery layer that you can. It's all right to err on the side of a little bit of extra to peel off. Sometimes there's a little membrane. Just peel that right off too, or it'll get in the way of your cutting. Make sure you have all the little bits off. So now, in order to get onions cut really thin, I'm great with a knife. I've been doing it for a long time, and I can get in there and I can be really precise, and I can get a pretty consistent, quick cut. But it's a lot of work, and there's a much easier way to do it. We're going to use a tool. This is a Japanese mandolin. A mandolin is a tool for slicing vegetables really thin. They're really, really simple. They've got a little screw on the bottom that affects how thick or how thin you cut it. They are really dangerous. They are really unsafe. They have an exposed blade, and they're very, very sharp. We need to make sure that we're very careful. When you buy these, they do come with a guard. You can also buy a chainmail glove that prevents you from cutting yourself. Or, if you like, and you happen to have 25 years experience in the kitchen, you can do it with your bare hands, which is what I like to do. So we're going to position the mandolin firmly on the cutting board so we can hold everything nice. Always a little bit of a danger. Be very careful at the end there. And the secret to not cutting yourself is being willing to waste a little bit of onion. Now we can put that aside. We can put that in the stock or something later. You get a really nice pile of well-sliced onions. Now I mentioned it before, but to get back to it, onions can be really overpowering. You'll find it sometimes in salsa, you find it sometimes in dishes. Even when you put raw onions on a hamburger, you bite into it, they can be really overpowering. A lot of sulfites, the things that make you cry, can be overwhelming. So one of the things that we can do in order to kind of reduce the strength of the onion is to give them a chance to macerate in the vinegar for a little while. So we're going to use sherry vinegar, but red wine vinegar works fine, apple cider vinegar works fine. You want to use one of your darker colored vinegars. I wouldn't use rice wine or white vinegar on this. We want it to have a little bit of flavor as well. And I guess I'm going to go in there with maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons, shy of a 1/4 cup of the sherry vinegar. Sherry vinegar is just a fancier type of red wine vinegar. Sherry is a red wine, fortified red wine, and they make a vinegar out of it as well. It seems to be a little bit more mild, not quite as acidic as some of the other vinegars that we use. But we'll get a chance to let those onions macerate in that vinegar while we prep the other vegetables. So in order to help break down those onions and relax them, in addition to the vinegar, we're going to add a little bit of salt. Salt will help break down the onions as well, pull some of that moisture out, and kind of upset the cellular structure of those onions and keep them from being crisp and overpowering to get them to be soft and kind of more of a background. The other part of this marinade, of this dressing, is going to be a little bit of fresh local honey. We're going to be using Gray Lady Apiary honey, the local honey. We got lots of great beekeepers, apiists. I'm not sure what the term is. We have a lot of great honey makers here on the island. And my wife Joy is a huge fan of all local honeys, and we always have a bunch around. And again, I'm gonna say about a couple tablespoons of honey, but we can add a little bit more later if it's not sweet enough. So you can see these onions now, they still have a lot of structure to them. They're still kind of sticking up and around. But what's gonna happen is by the time we have those other vegetables cut and ready to add them to the onions are gonna have broken down and they're gonna be a lot softer. So we're gonna put this off to the side and allow it to macerate. The next vegetable for this salad is gonna be cucumbers. We're gonna use the English cucumber, sometimes called a burpless cucumber, burpy cucumber. They're just really nice. They're long, they're easy to use, and they're consistent as opposed to some of the other cucumbers. We're gonna keep the skin on, but we are going to prep them a little bit. We cut them the long way. And we're gonna remove the seeds. So we're gonna use a scallop knife to scrape the seeds out. A teaspoon works fine, but we like the Nantucket scallops and we like the scallop knife. So we're gonna use that and we're gonna just take it and scrape it down the middle of our cucumber. And this is gonna remove all those seeds. And you see what comes out with those seeds is quite a bit of water as well. And that's the purpose of doing this. We want to have the cucumber flavor, but we don't need to have all that liquid, which is what would happen. It'll just kind of break down. Now you could save this and you could put it in with a glass of water, cucumber water, put it in a blender, give yourself a nice little cucumber lime water or something like that to enjoy while you're cooking food for your friends and family, or to put also out onto a picnic tray. When it comes to slicing the cucumber, we can do it by hand as well again, but I really like, again, the Japanese mandolin for this, and we can adjust the sizing of it. So we just open up that little guy. We can adjust the size of it. We just open up the little screw here. It drops this down more further, and we get a bigger slice. Now this is gonna give us, again, a really nice, consistent look. This is one of the things that professional cooks do all the time to make sure their food is really consistent and really nice. And what this gives us is the cucumber slices that are all the same size. When you're dealing with an item like this where things are being marinated, by having everything the exact same size, by having consistent knife work, or by using a tool like a mandolin, what we allow for is a really, really consistent product. All the cucumbers will taste the same. They will have been marinated in the same amount. Whereas if you had one that was paper thin and one that was thick, they wouldn't taste the same in the end. So we have a nice big bowl of cucumbers. Everything equally sliced. Everything is perfect and ready to go. We're gonna put those off to the side. We're gonna slice and prep the rest of our vegetables for the salad, and then we'll combine them with the onions that have been macerating and that have been making that liquid really, really flavorful and delicious. For as many different cooks as there are, there's that many ways to cut a vegetable, cut a pepper. I'm gonna show you my way, especially for what we're doing here. It's gonna be really easy, really simple. We're gonna take the whole pepper, and I'm just gonna slice off the sheets. So now we have a much easier way to deal with the pepper. All the seeds and all the ribbing comes out pretty easy. We're gonna slice the peppers, and we do that with the skin side down, away from our knife, so the knife goes through nice and easy. We're gonna make sure we're cutting all the way through, and we're just gonna do a nice julienne. The next vegetable for our salad, we're gonna use tomatoes. Tomatoes, when they're in season, couldn't be any better. For now, they're not in season, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use grape tomatoes. The little tomatoes that they have at the store, they are just great. They got great flavor, they're available year round, so that's what we're gonna use. This is about 2 or 3 pints of those little cute baby tomatoes. We're gonna split the tomatoes in half today. Some people like to keep them whole, they like the pop. I like to cut them in half so that they can become part of the marinade. The liquid in the tomato will leach out and they'll become just a little bit easier to eat. We're gonna split them all. There's a couple of tricks to splitting tomatoes, but one of the things that's easiest to do, for one, make sure you're using a serrated knife. You can do it with a paring knife, you can do it with any type of knife as long as it's sharp enough. However, serrated knives are really, really easy for just this type of thing. And when we split them, I like to take a little bit of time And all the shortcuts that you would do might make them, you can always do stuff faster, you can't always do stuff better. So we're gonna do the slow, methodical way. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna slice each tomato right through that little seed, that little stem dot. All the tomatoes have that little dot where they grew out of. That's a great place to target to cut through them. If your knife isn't super sharp, that gives them a place to kind of grab. And also, they kind of hold together. If you were to cut these tomatoes on a different angle and not straight through the middle, what you can run into sometimes is these middle parts falling out and the tomato kind of collapsing. So by cutting it straight down the middle here, what we're able to do is keep the tomato pretty much intact. So we'll do this pretty quickly. Get through all these tomatoes and just cut them in half. This is what a serrated knife is really made for. Serrated knives, people will probably use a little bit more than they need to because it's always going to be the sharpest knife in your kit. Because they're serrated, they don't come in contact with as many different surfaces because the knives have that little ridge on them. It's only the very tip that often touches the cutting board and the rest of it only ever touches food. So they stay pretty sharp. But having a serrated knife for anything soft, tomatoes, bread, really, really makes sense. And we'll just take a second to slice through all these. Now we have a big pile of tomatoes, all cut in half, all ready to become part of a salad. Our beautiful vegetables, cut, prep, ready to go. And now we're gonna bring back the onions and season them. What we have now, these onions have started to really kind of lose their crispness. And what happens when you macerate onions in vinegar is that each becomes better. Both the vinegar and the onions are mellowed out by each other, making them a much more palatable and nice way to dress everything. The onions now, you can see, are really softer. They're no longer crisp onions, not fresh sliced. They've had a chance to marinate and macerate and break themselves down, and now they are going to become the seasoning for our salad. Now we have to remember that the onions now are not just their own vegetable, the onions are actually now part of the dressing. So you want to make sure that the onions are broken up and shared around with everybody here. We're going to add just a little bit more salt and a few cracks of pepper. Now we're gonna add one more ingredient to this to really kind of make it pop, give it a little bit more brightness and more color, and we're gonna add some scallions to it. So scallions are gonna put in at the end as kind of a garnish, although they'll have no trouble being in the salad even if you put it in the fridge and keep it for a while. It's just gonna add a nice little bit of a green to it. This is about one bunch of scallions, give or take. We're gonna use just the green part of this. We already have a beautiful onion flavor, and the greens tend to be a little bit more mild. Go through them, make sure there's no old or tired little parts. These scallions really look beautiful. They just came in. So with the scallions, you never really get to see it. So when a scallion grows, they grow much taller. So they're cut off for packaging so that they fit, but they're much taller and they have a great little point on them. What we're gonna do is we're gonna try to kind of keep them all together. And what I do is I'm gonna take off the tops where they've been cut before, where they're kind of dry. So we're just gonna take a quick top off of it. That's also gonna give us a really even, nice place to start. So All the scallions are about the same length now. We're gonna use our left hand, keep our fingertips in so we don't cut ourselves, and we're just gonna make sure the knife is nice and sharp, and we're gonna just glide right through it. You wanna make sure that you're not just pushing right down on it. Knives work when they're moving forward and backwards. So we're gonna make sure that our knife is always moving forward while we slice. As soon as we start to get near the white spots in the white, and you can see it starts to get a little bit thicker, it's no longer hollow, it actually has more of a core into it, that's where we want to stop. These are going to be saved. These make brilliant little grilled garnishes, grill them up real quick and easy, and they're really, really wonderful. Or other things where you don't mind having a stronger onion flavor. This is a great use for those. I gotta say, for me, the salad, it just looks beautiful. It looks really bright, it looks really flavorful, it looks awesome. So the only thing left to do is taste it. One thing that's important to kind of notice, and I want you to see, is the amount of liquid that's in the bottom here. So you can see we're already pulling, I don't know, half a cup of liquid there, but all we put in there was a few ounces of that vinegar. But once you add the salt to it, and it starts to pull out the moisture from the vegetables, that's kind of how this salad will continue to progress, right? So this salad is going to start to break down the vegetables. The salt in there will break down the vegetables. The liquid will come out. This liquid is really all you need for a dressing. So if you wanted to then take this and put it on a bed of greens, we're going to try not to put too much of that liquid on it, but you could use that liquid right there to dress your salad. So we'll take a little taste of it. You want to try to get a little bit of a taste that has everything on there, right? It has the pepper and onion, tomato. It tastes really nice. I get the sweetness of the honey. I get the little astringency from the onions, the bite from the vinegar. It needs a little bit more salt. And you know what I would do when I'm serving this, I'd serve it and then put a little bit of olive oil on it. A really nice little bit of extra virgin olive oil on top of this salad is going to really kind of give it a nice floral, nice pepperiness from that olive oil. But if you're going to make it to put it in the fridge, I wouldn't put olive oil on it quite yet. Use it as a finishing agent. The olive oil in the fridge will coagulate, maybe not coagulate, will solidify. So if you're going to put this and keep it in the fridge, I wouldn't put olive oil in yet. We're going to use the olive oil as a finishing agent on it. But it's really nice, it's really bright. When you're using a salad like this, having that bed of greens is really going to be a nice way to take any of that liquid that would kind of end up at the bottom of the plate. So by having greens, you do twofold. One is you give the liquids a place to kind of stop and so it doesn't cover the plate. If this is on a buffet line, in a bowl, it wouldn't really matter, but if you're trying to do it on a platter, or if you're trying to plate it singularly and give it to a person, it's nice to have that bed of greens. So a really beautiful salad. We're just gonna do one more little drizzle of olive oil and some more black pepper on top. And there we have a great marinated vegetable salad.